Hi guys, Mr. Chapman here. This is the 11th and final video on our series of database skills. We have covered quite a lot. Looking at the database file on the screen now, we've gone from tables into our queries and forms for viewing information. The most recent video where we were looking at reports, which are just a nice output of our queries. So I've just loaded one there, which is the favorite food one, and you can see that the graphic loads. It's not formatted perfectly, so obviously when you're doing your own database work, you do take the time to go into the design view and make sure that everything is looking as nice as possible. This video is about just tidying everything up and bringing things together with macros and buttons. You've already used buttons when you created the switchboard, which is what you can see now. And if we go to the actual form view and click on the button, you can see that it navigates to another form. So when we created these buttons to begin with, they were created just using the wizard that runs with the button. But what you were actually constructing was a macro. So some macros are built in and you can just choose them, or you can create your own. Okay, so in this video, I'll cover the construction of just some basic macros. There is one here, but I'm just going to delete it. But you can see that macros are just like all the other objects. They just sit in the list of objects. They can be saved, they can be reused, they can be brought into any other form or any other environment. So I'll just remove that one and I'll start from scratch. Okay, so the first macro that I want to create, this is my main switchboard, and I want to be able to close this application, the whole database, from the switchboard. So I can do it in one of two ways. I can go into the design view of this form, and I can construct a button, and I can go straight in and choose one of the pre-made macros, or I can go the long but definite way around by constructing the macro first. So I will click Create. I will choose Macro. Macros are scripts, just like writing lines of code. The way that we construct simple macros is just to choose from the list of options. So there's quite a lot of pre-coded things that you can create. The one that I'm going to use is close database. You can go into further commands if you wish to build up a more complex macro, but that's not necessary in this particular example. So I'm going to call this MCR for macro and close students. So that's, and I'll put DB there as well. So I'll click OK to that and I'll close that down. All right, so I want to create a button and I want it to run that particular macro. So here's how I do it. I go into the design view of the area that I'm working in. I go to the design tools and I add a button. And there are a couple of different ways to do this, and it's worth showing you both. So this automatically loaded the button wizard, and I can choose miscellaneous, run macro, next, and you can see there is one query that I've currently got in my database. That's one way. The other way is to simply click on the button, and you want to open your properties sheet, which is in the upper right part of your screen. And I'm just going to move the video screen down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. And this brings up all of the events for this particular button. And if I drop that little menu down, there is the macro there. So two ways of doing the same thing. So I will just edit this, the text of this button, close database. And then if I save that change and go to the normal form view, click close, the whole database should shut down. Okay, so you can see that it's gone ahead and done that. So we'll go back into the database. All right, now the next one. I want to have a generic macro that will print whatever form or report I'm in. And this would be quite a handy one. If you're running lots of different reports and viewing lots of information, it would be handy simply to have a button, regardless of where I'm at, I just want to print. So I will go ahead and build that one now. Create macro, and this will be a print object macro. Nothing specific, just generally whenever this is clicked, it will print that object. So I'll save this one and I'll call this MCR print current object. And then if I click OK, I'll close that one down. And what I'm going to do in this particular report, I'll go into the design view and I'm going to build a button. And I'm going to run the macro print current object macro. And I'll just put print report up here. Okay, so saving this and going into the design, the actual report view, if I hit print, it immediately should load the generic Windows print dialog box. And you can see I've got a range of printers that are available to me here. So I could just send this report to the printer. Now, you might think, well, that you can always go up to the normal file menu and choose to print in different ways. One of the things that you can actually do through the file menu and in the options, you can lock down your database so that you don't actually see any of the menus, and you can make your software act more like a secure application. So this is also worth having a look at as well. Now, one of the things that we could look at in this particular database, the current database, the display form, we make sure that it loads the switch and nothing else. So, okay, I just need to close those screens. So I'll just double check that that is the one that loads first. Yes, it is. Okay, well, that's fine. And because I'm still editing this database, I won't change any of these. However, if you were going to deselect any of these items, you would start to restrict the database, which is handy once it's actually finished. Okay, so that was just a little run through of database skills. We've covered everything. So the next lot of videos will be just some more complex skills to do with relational structures and also just some different types of querying as well. But this series has definitely covered everything, and I suggest that you do go back and re-watch any of the videos that you either may have missed with classwork or you just need a refresher on. Okay, so thanks for watching.